So, how's it going, everybody? Um, Zach again. I just recorded a 25-minute video. No sound. Forgot to turn the microphone on. We're all right. Um, Time to practice that patience here. So, we'll poop. We're gonna we're gonna get through this. So, yesterday was my first video, and this was kind of explaining that we were going through this book here together, which was a book that was presented to me a while back. I put it off to the side, um, and quite frankly, kind of forgot about it. Things kept stacking on top of each other, and everything was, blurry for a little bit. So I was given this, and there's a reason I was given this, and I don't think it's a coincidence that it's presented to me now. I did explain in the last video that I was going through things and feeling a lot of pain and suffering, and I don't think it was this book was brought to me because of that. um, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, yesterday what we did was we started off with the book, with reading the introduction, and this is a book by Tim Tebow here. So um, I'm gonna actually pause this and see if it's picking up because I can't do another 25 minutes. Okay, good to go. But yeah, it's by Tim Tebow, this book, and it's a devotional. So a devotional, what that is it's just you have your days. So January 1st through December 31st. Each day you have a passage written by, or he has also guests in here that'll have some passages, but goes through some you know keywords to go on and you know take your day on. Um, Now, like I said, I'm behind a little bit, so I've been reading a little bit, but also not that I'm trying to catch up. I'm truly addicted to reading this. I didn't think I would be. I thought it was gonna be more so of like what you already know, and about God and everything, and just kind of doing like I don't know, like just having verses in here, and then you write down what do you think about the verse. And some people can do that. I can't. Um, so when I read the first one yesterday, and it related to sports, I was like, hooked from page one. Um, She's starting to get hot now. I came out here at like 7:20, and now it's 8:12. But um, sometimes maybe good. If you know, you know. But yeah, I got my coffee from Circle K this morning. I'm currently on a fast, so I stopped eating Thursday at 7:30 a.m. It is currently 8:12 a.m. on Saturday, so we're well into 48 hours. So, excuse me. I don't know really how long I'm gonna do it. I don't think much longer. Um, just it's kind of like I'm big on health. I haven't been recently, um, and I think that's kind of has a lot to do with how I'm feeling today and why things have happened to me lately. Is because I used to have all these goals, and I was big into working out, running, and a healthy lifestyle, eating right, and things in life just started piling and piling and piling on top of each other, and I kept feeling overwhelmed for sure. So I just started like comfort eating. Like, let's go to McDonald's. Let's go get 3 McDoubles. You know, that'll make me feel good. And then it became, oh, let's have a beer. And then it became, oh, let's have another beer. Let's have another McDouble. Ooh, let's go to Panda Express, get some orange chicken. Heck yeah. I remember that. I mean, I was talking myself up like it's not that bad, like, oh, we'll just go to Chipotle and, get brown rice, queso, guac, cheese, all these toppings, and oh, this is healthy. This will be good for me. We know that ain't healthy, bro. So yeah, things just start piling up on top of each other. But before I I was very much into health, and now I'm trying to get back on my feet, doing some running, doing some lifting, doing some stairs, doing some walking, and cleaning up my diet. So the reason, I don't know if a lot of you know like about fasting, um, but it yeah, you lose weight, but it's more of a metabolism reset and cell repair, immune system reset, and kind of, you know, puts you back on track and makes your body relearn how to digest things. So I feel like lately I've been bloated. I've been, having problems with my stomach. I I'd be in meetings with people at work, and it'd be early in the morning, and I'd be sat there, and you could hear my stomach from literally like 5 yards away, like, and I remember my trainer was like, she could hear it. She was like, Zach, you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. But I was not fine. So yeah, I'm just getting back on track and trying to do better about this. So it stinks that I recorded a whole video and I didn't turn the microphone on. Um, hey, growing pains. We're gonna get through it. So what I'm gonna do is, like I said before, we're gonna go through this book. Um, I'm not gonna go, January 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way to December 31st. I want you guys to get this book yourself and read the excerpts between the ones I pick. So we're not just like blatantly like just stealing Tim's content here. So I'm gonna skip here to a page. This is gonna be January 9th. And it's called, if you can read that. Nope. It's called The Grand Purpose. So it starts off here with saying, love thy Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandment greater than these. Mark 12:30 through 31. So uh, the next little passage here, that's going to be Tim speaking here. So he says the dictionary defines purpose as the reason for which something exists or is done, made, used, etc. Purpose is a word that is often thrown around in Christian churches, but when it comes to defining what our purpose is as human beings on earth, the answer can be confusing. Does it have to be with vocation? This is related to an inborn skill, or is it a dream that has been burned into our hearts ever since we can remember? One thing is certain, you are created for a reason. You are not here by accident. It is by design. That the creator of the universe designed you exactly as you are. He created you in his image, with love in love and by love. I believe the number one reason we're on the earth is to know our maker, the person of God. How can we do that? By taking to heart and putting into action the words of Jesus, to love God with all your heart and to love our neighbor. Finding your purpose starts with knowing God through his son, Jesus Christ. It's also about loving your neighbor. Who is your neighbor? everyone you come into contact with. So before you mental and spiritual wheels start turning and searching for individual purpose, begin to live out your macro purpose. Um, and then it says at the bottom here, it says, how can you love God and others well this week? And that's at the end of each one here, he'll have like a question you can reflect on and write down notes. But let's dive into this and reason why I picked this one here. So, it says when it comes to defining what our purpose is as human beings on Earth, the answer can be confusing. Um, I'm turning 30 years old this year, you know, um, and I'd say for 29 years of my life, I shouldn't say 29, but the past at least 10, 15 years has been confusing for me, and finding out what my purpose is. Um, God was, you know, not a big part of my life, but was a part of my life in middle school, high school, and my family and I would go to church, and there was a few youth groups I went to in high school. We went to Athletes in Action and Young Life, um, which I enjoyed. They were fun. Um, in high school, I was an athlete, so still consider myself athletic. And there's a wasp next to me, I might freak out. All right, it's gone. I was athletic. I played sports. I had a sports background. I um, I just grew up around it. I played baseball, played a little football, played golf. I'd play everything. Um, and I'd watch everything too. It was always on when we'd walk in the living room. There'd be either an NBA game on, an NFL game, MLB, you name it. Golf. Um, grew up watching Tiger doing his thing. So it was something I was very, very intrigued with. So that's kind of how my life ended up. My childhood was revolved around. So that started from an early age, went to, end of high school with my sports career. Um, and then it came to college. Now, in high school, I learned that I was pretty good at art. As a freshman, and I even knew it in middle school that I was good at art, but it really became present in high school. I graduated at Mason High School in Cincinnati, Ohio, where the graduating class, if I'm not mistaken, was right at around maybe a little north of 1,000 kids, which I'm sure to a lot of you sounds humongous, which it was. So there was just tons of opportunities, tons of electives, tons of sports that you could get involved with. And as far as sports go, I was purely focused on baseball. Once it came to high school, um, there was nothing else I played. It was just baseball, and I consider myself pretty good at it. I wasn't the best kid on the team at all, um, but if I would have stuck to it, I could have been something maybe I played college at. So, but like I said, I learned that I was good at art. So I took all these art electives, and and ended up talking to my art teacher, and he was like, Zach, you're like, you're really good at art. You should look into some art schools in the country, and you know apply to those. Um, and I did that, and he was the first person to really give me, any direction on where, I should go. Um, there was no like teacher saying, "Hey, you should go to this place," and not that every teacher, anyone has to have somebody tell them where to go, but it was nice to have some type of like guidance and help. So, oh, I feel like that's a better like. Um, so that happened, and I lost train of thought. That I mean, having the sun out of my face feels so good right now. Oh, but yeah, he was the only person that really reached out and was like, "Hey, you need to do this." So at that time, I felt like I had a purpose, and my purpose was to go to art school, become really good at art, and I don't know. I was gonna figure out what I was gonna do with it once I got there. So, like I said, I was sports oriented growing up, and I'm, going back to yesterday, what we read was, the first or January 2nd was called the greatest trade from Tim Tebow, and it was relating the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar trade to the Lakers from the Bucks, and reminding us that we were part of the greatest trade in history with God. And you know, reading that, it made me so excited to read the rest of this, and continue doing these, because you know I I I relate so much to sports. I mean, and it's not like that. Not saying that I can't relate to other things, but it it made me like, right now there's just not a whole lot of things that I'm excited about in life. Um, I mean, I shouldn't say that. I'm definitely excited about a few things here, but it made me feel good about where this book was gonna lead me towards. So, and Tim Tebow, I'd already known that he's a great guy. I've followed him for a while, and I just never understood how crazy. Never mind. Um, but yeah, so like I went to art school, and then, sorry if I'm jumping around. I feel like the first video was like so well done, and now I'm like, but because I'm trying to remember what I said in the last video, and I'm like, well, shoot, now let's talk about this, and now I'm trying to relate it back to that. All right, so, but yeah, go to art school. Find that there's nobody that has ever swung a golf club, thrown a football, caught a baseball in their entire life there. So, you know, I'm not gonna be. I didn't relate to anybody. It was hard for me to make friends there. Um, and going from a school that had 1,000 kids to now going to a college with smaller amount of kids. When growing up, I was, watching movies and all this. I was like, oh, college is these huge campuses. You're gonna have, you know, tons of people to find and become friends with. Because I was quite, upset when I was leaving high school, because a lot of my friends were going to different colleges than me, and I was, saying bye. So that goodbye was really tough for me. And then going to art school and not having anybody was even tougher. So I quit really quickly. As good as I was at art, I was probably, you know, not to, boost my ego, but I was probably one of the best artists in my class. I quit. I just couldn't do it. I cared more about, like, you know, friendship and all this, and having people around me, and I just felt like I didn't have a purpose anymore again. So I came back home. My buddy, who I reached out to yesterday, sent him the video that I made, and he's very faithful to Jesus, and he got me a job at a golf course. Um, and I ended up, raking bunkers and picking weeds out of the bunkers, weed whacking curbs, all this, kind of, you know, beginner level landscaping maintenance stuff. And as brutal as it sounds, on 90-degree days, sun beating down on you, being in a bunker where the sun that was just amplified in the sand traps. I was so happy to be there because I was around people I could relate to, and I didn't feel alone. And that was good for me. So I ended up staying with that career and going back to college, getting a landscape degree, turf management, and worked my way all the way up to assistant superintendent at Los Angeles Country Club, which is a top 100 golf course in the world, and that was where the U.S. Open was in 2023. So go all the way, make it all the way to the top, and a different feeling has entered my mind. Was you know did I pick the right thing? This wasn't necessarily something I had picked. It just fell into my lap. And was I, you know, truly in love with this, or was I just making it up to try to make myself feel better? So, you know, everything just started getting into my head, and alcohol was something in my family that was abused, and it was hard to not let it abuse me because of how much it was around growing up. And I feel like that happened to me. I I was going out a lot, like spending a lot of money on just alcohol, going out to bars, and thinking the friends that I had going out to bars were my actual friends, and they weren't. They they just liked to hang out because I was a party person. As soon as it became something where I needed them, they they weren't there. Um, so trying to relate this back to this passage here. I know I'm going off on a little tangent here. So I just couldn't find a purpose, and I feel like a lot of people are confused about what their purpose is, and you know, and it's I feel like it's been confusing for a while, but it's starting to become clear that my purpose is to live my life through Jesus Christ and become closer to Him. And you know, He died on the cross for us, and even when you know we we were sinners, I mean, He cared for us and wholeheartedly wanted this for us. So to to disregard that and put it to the side is, I feel like, very childish. I don't know, not childish, but like wrong to do. You know, He's the creator of everything around us. I mean, everything. It's kind of crazy. So, I mean, this beginning part here I highlighted as well. It says you were created for a reason. And previous video I stated that content was something I'd always wanted to do. I just couldn't figure out what the reason for what type of content I wanted to, or what type of content I wanted to do. And that feels like clearer than ever. Talking out loud like this, and like documenting my journey through this is it's helpful for me because I'm talking out loud, and you know not having a lot of people around. Sometimes I'll go an entire day and I haven't said a single word, and I'll be like, geez, I'll be laying in bed at the end of the night and be like, I haven't said a single word all day. So talking through this, it's good. And I just can't relate to talking to therapists. I don't know. I tried it once, it just didn't work. Maybe, I don't know. Um, but it says, yeah, finding your purpose starts with knowing God through His Son Jesus Christ. It's also about loving your neighbor. You know, so at the end of this, it says, how can you love God and others well this week? Um, I said I can be more patient. Oftentimes, I'm quick to judge, or I'm quick to put things off, or um, quick to say no to things. And I feel like I need to dive deeper into things and give it the proper amount of time before making a decision on things. Um, Next thing I said was become more of a listener. Sometimes I it, I become selfish in the fact that I'm, you know, why isn't this happening to me? Um, or so on. But there's people trying to tell me things, and I'm not listening. And it goes back to just being more patient. I'm just quick to say no. And then the last thing I said here was hold the door open. And I didn't say hold the door open, at like the gas station. That's not what I mean there. It's not, you know, yeah, here, come on through. It's, I said that because I wanted to hold the door open for people to come into my life. Like, take the lock, unlock the door, take the padlocks off the hotel little safety lock off the door, open the door, hold the door open, let people into your life, because that's what life's all about, is the people around us, family, friends, loved ones. you know it's making yourself one vulnerable, letting people into your feelings, your emotions, communicating. Just as important to be a listener, it's also important to communicate. And you know hold the door open. Be a sponge. And as far as, like, things you encounter in the world, learn from them. And just try to do right by God, and love thy neighbor. That's, like you said, everyone you come into contact with. I know sometimes I'll be driving, and somebody will cut me off, and in that moment I'm not practicing what God is trying to teach, for sure. um, and practicing that patience, and holding the door open. It's going to be something that's how I can have other people enter my life and stuff. So that's January 9th. I know we're far into this video here. If you've stuck around this far, I appreciate it. This is now, for me, an hour of talking, which is the most I've done about my life ever. So um, I want to do more types of different videos here going into the future. I'm going to be, incorporating some running and talking, walk and talks. Um, Maybe mix up the location where I'm going. If anybody has some ideas, or can help me with better understanding God and His path, um, reach out and put it in the comments, like the video. And yeah, I'm having a good time making these videos. So I finally found a purpose, and I'm excited about it. So, like I said, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Shout out Circle K for the coffee. I'm gonna go break my fast with some bone broth, and maybe have some berries for lunch, and then some almonds later on in the day. and then mix up, get a maybe a little hard boiled egg in at the end of the day, and then Sunday. Ooh, Sunday. I didn't talk about this, but Tim's actually going to be coming to my church that I go to here in Bradenton or Lakewood Ranch. So I'm super excited about that coming up here. I thought about going to every single service, 8, 10, the 1 o'clock, and seeing him the entire day. Um, we'll see. And then Monday, I have my first young adult group that I'm going to at my church. So a little nervous about that, excited about it. I've talked to the group leader a little bit over text, and kind of made him aware, like, hey, I'm a little nervous. I don't know anybody there. And he's kind of, he told me, hey, there's nothing to be nervous about. If you can talk as much as you want, you don't have to talk at all. And we're just going to be going over what Tim talks about Sunday. So I'm excited about that. I'll probably, do a video, a little vlog action about that. I won't, go in there with my phone and videotape the group, but I'll be in there before and then talk to you about how it went after. And same thing with Sunday service. Um, I'll get on here and break down what the service was about and what I took from it. And yeah, I'm excited. I've got tons of ideas. This is just a start. Um, got to remember to turn the microphone on. So, all right, now I'm rambling. But thanks, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.